Hey, hey, tell me, I was really track on.
And so it begins.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to the Michael Butler Butz Show Radio Spectacular, live from the Sound Museum Quarantine Studios. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Yes, forgive me if I don't shake hands. T-Vibes! Oh, yeah, y'all. It's good to have you back, D-Vibes. We didn't do a show yesterday. We did 14 days straight.
Whew, we're on it.
Yeah, we took a break, but it's good to have you back with us. Just want to make sure you're good. Yesterday was good, real quick.
Yeah, man. Yesterday was good.
Hey, is that was yesterday the day that you put together that track that we led off with, which was called Gravy, folks? That was D-Vibes. How about some applause for D-Vibes?
Man.
Yeah, some more applause. A little tepid, really? Oh, there we go. That's something to be happy about.
Yeah. Woo-hoo.
There he goes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That is single from my band.
That was funky. Was that Bryce?
Yeah, that's Quiz, baby.
Oh, man.
Like Watermelon Funk.
Wow.
We're
Well,
doing this stuff.
that's this is a Wednesday night celebration because Deshaun usually has his residency at Bianchi's on Wednesday nights in Denver, and I usually have my Wednesday night at Thunder Road with Barely Dead. And my guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, so happy to welcome the one and only Milt Reader.
Senior Butz, it's a pleasure to see you.
Pleasure
As
to see you.
always.
Give him a round of applause if it's still up. Yeah.
Wait till all the diplomas have been handed out.
Yes, exactly. Bask in it. You know what I mean? It's like, this is something that guys like us sorely are missing right now.
Yeah.
So like another round, Lammy. Give me some more applause. Yeah. Yes. Oh, it feels good.
Yeah, it's together.
It's like a virtual world now, but like it feels good.
Each one of those people is in a little isolation booth clapping, and you put it all together, and it sounds amazing,
It really does. And that's a thing. We have to like bring back the art of Foley, or however we, I think there are still like real, genuine Foley artists out there.
Yeah, Mick Foley.
Okay, Mick Foley, he says.
That's got to come back.
Yeah, no.
That is a Foley artist.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Foley is like what they call how they come up with those random sound effects when it's not actually what's happening. So they'll jingle like a bunch of things, or their hands together sometimes to make the sound of rain. There's all kinds of ways you can fabricate different sounds.
And you know that drummers from some of the big bands got too expensive. They were too expensive to keep them on the road. And so a lot of the drummers found themselves without a job. And they would go to work for a radio station, and they'd have their drum kit with all kinds of little sound effects things. And they were the first wave of Foley artists. There's a wonderful book by the reclusive late dear friend of mine, Ray Brunel, all about that subject and the incredible little inventions that these guys would come up with to make barnyard sounds and raspberries and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. And what was the name of that book again?
I don't know. I don't know the name of the book, but you would have to Google Ray Brunel. It's Brunelle. He does have a website that's under construction called deadray.com. He passed away a couple of years ago, and he started Dead Ray before he did that. And but it's got more information about those little audio tricks than has ever been assembled before under one roof. So it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, I find all that fascinating, and I honestly feel like we had like I have the great privilege every once in a while to get to like share a car ride to a gig with Milt. For those who don't know, Milt and I are in a band together called Barely Dead. We've been on hiatus for a couple weeks now. We're gonna get into that because the last time I saw you, Milt, like was the beginning of like a profound change in the world, and we sort of like looked at each other and both knew that was about to happen. It was just sort of.
It was in the air. That was really one of those moments where it was just that everybody felt it. Everybody felt the change, like right at that point. It was a few Wednesdays ago. Hard to believe.
Yeah. I mean, how long ago was that at this point? It's been, I think it's 3 weeks ago. The 11th of March is sort of where I have it like marked in history, where like the world changed at some point over the course of like between like our first and second set. In the middle of our first set, it was I felt that the change had happened. I was starting to get texts about a Utah Jazz player being called back, like into the locker room or something like that, and then a late cancel of an NBA game where everyone was on the court, and then they sent the whole building home, and you had to put two and two together that maybe he tested positive for the coronavirus, and that would be a reason, but nobody knew. So they hadn't canceled the NBA season yet, and then somewhere in the middle of the set, someone texted me and told me that Tom Hanks and his wife had both tested positive for it, and I'm like, geez, like the dominoes were really starting to fall. I mean, I feel like we're jumping into this, but this is kind of something that's been on my mind the whole time. It's like, there was a day, for those of you who don't know, we usually play that every Wednesday, and we had a video shoot, a video that I do believe we will be releasing soon. I'm not going to reveal, anything more than that, but we were working on a video, and we were doing it over at Milt's studio, and the plan was to shoot the video, take time out, have a bite to eat, everyone does what they need, and then we go over to the venue and set up, and that's how it is. But when I got there, just ready for a simple video shoot, there was a conversation happening between the guys, and it just seemed like Milt is a medical professional, and actually, for those of you who weren't aware of that, it is in fact, when we call him the good doctor, he is in fact the good doctor Milt Reeder, and he arrived at the proper conclusion maybe just like a day before it got real for everyone, and he just made it clear that it wasn't right to be putting anyone at risk. Maybe you can talk about like the morning of that day, because you sort of woke up and realized that this wasn't the move between you and Missy, who's over there with you.
Yeah, Missy and I were talking about it the night before. It had kind of been eating away at me since the previous week, because the Wednesday before that, it was a little bit on it was on people's minds, and I know I was consciously thinking, well, I'm gonna not get too close to anybody, but at a Barely Dead gig, that's pretty much impossible.
And more than that, we're all about like the closeness, and that includes lots of hugs and such.
Lots of hugs. And sharing of whatever, and this, and I remember feeling a little sketchy, even then. And as the week went on, I was thinking, gee, I don't think these kind of get-togethers are going to be happening for much longer. And Missy and I were talking about it the night before. And when I got up that morning, I thought, Well, it's terribly inconvenient because we do have something scheduled tonight, but it started to crystallize in my mind that we needed to do something right away, not just announce, okay, next week we're going to be off. We had to do it that day. And I think everybody in the band, as we thought, was bands are like a multi-headed monster, and it's oftentimes it's like herding cats. But this was a time when I think everybody really kind of got on the same page very quickly about the whole thing.
Yeah, and let me interject. It's because I know that as a community, as a band representing a community, we are ruthlessly protective over the concept that Wednesday goes on. The whole idea that the show goes on. A lot of things can make things can interrupt a schedule, but we're not going to accept that, even if it means in a situation like this. It occurred to you at that point that maybe it would be possible to live stream the band. And that was something we were able to do that night. It was just a matter of the grandest coincidence that I had spent 2 or 3 months playing cat and mouse with a guy who I was trying to get to become the guy who would come over with his gear and set up in the back of Thunder Road and live stream our weekly residency. And that was Herb Mersiglio, who has a studio across the street, New Alliance Studios, I believe. It's the building that they're in. And, it just seemed like an obvious thing to do. And finally, I had gotten him to commit to it. And it was just once I got there, and that was what we had decided. The question came up: can we do a live stream from here? And I'm like, actually, yes, we can, because the guy he'll just come over here. But it required a little bit of doing because it wasn't exactly across the street, and he was going to be busy all the way up until, and a little bit of jumping through hoops and testing what we needed out there. So we did all of this, and we made the change while we were shooting a video, which was just an insane thing to do. But I've seen a take of the video. It's pretty good, Milt. What do you think?
Yeah, I've seen it too, and I was I thought it was it looked like we knew what we were doing. I mean, we were kind of flying by the seat of our pants technically, but I gotta say that musically, the interactions between the players in that room, it was one of the more enjoyable moments with the band. I mean, everybody, because you're always up against a certain, in live venues, you're making certain compromises, and to have everybody in the room at that studio, which is particularly suited for an ensemble like Barely Dead. It was, I remember having a conversation with Justin Lopes about it, that it was, really unusually clear, that you could really hear what everybody was doing, which is great because you got guys like him and Nick Swift, instrumentalist, and David Becker, and
roll call.
Tyler, yeah, and I just, so really great to be able to really hear what everybody's doing, and we're in the round, we're looking at each other, so that was a blast.
Yeah, another thing is, my sound man John Lammy over here is a real fan of the natural sound of that room. He's made it official, I've heard him reference it. Well, if I had a natural sound like that, we could do this. It's just he was over there. He came over. That's the other piece of amazing circumstance that brought all of this together. Because it wasn't, Milt. There was I said to you at the end of the night that we were standing in the middle of a hurricane, but we were in the middle of it. It's almost like the world was changing around us, because there were so many things that came together for us to even be doing what we were doing. And it was the first act that signaled that just happened technically before so many other things on this. But the whole idea that not only was Herb scheduled for that, but that in the back of my mind I had said to myself, and you remember all day I'm saying, we need a dedicated sound man to be here to backstop Herb. I needed a video guy to backstop him, and I reached out to Dave Crespo, who from Utah was checking out the results. We sent a sound check to him earlier on a private page, so he was just watching it. So, I mean, he helped us dial in the presentation of it. But the sound, I'm saying to myself, no matter what, we need to get the sound sounding right. And when I left with Herb, and by the way, this is the point in the story where I have to apologize to you, because when we set up, we went to Micro Center to get an extender to set up a third camera in an advantageous spot. We ran the extender, and that became your third camera, which for all eternity will be like jacked up and slow because of this connector that we went and bought to be able to put it there in the first place. So it's this really surreal sort of like, one frame per 5 second, like 4 seconds or 3 seconds with Milty there. But it's a really weird experience in the what it actually went out over the live stream. But we really didn't have time to test anything. We just set that up and and went for it. So yeah, so that the Milt cam has its issues, but like it's kind of psychedelic. Let's just call it psychedelic.
It's kind of like The Ring, It's kind of like a Japanese horror movie, I'm just kind of like not there and I'm not there.
Well, it's like you're right. Your energy and aura is so potent that it scrambles signals. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it feels like to me. So so anyway, but the crazy thing is that while we were going to get that cable, it was in one of the trips I was taking him back over to Somerville to do a podcast that he was scheduled to do before he had to come back and set up with us again. I stopped at Micro Center, and the guy that I had meant to call the whole day, thinking like, okay, the other guys that we had thought that were on hand or could have been on hand weren't available. So I need to call one guy, and that only idea I had was Lammy. And when I get to Micro Center, he literally walks by my car window the second I pull in. The second I pull in, he's right there. And it's crazy. This guy right here, this guy who has been by my side every day since the following Tuesday or Monday, because what happened after the live stream was that, it was like the most powerful thing, and we were going to do it again the following week. But then, there were things that happened, and you weren't sure what was going on over if you guys weren't feeling well yourselves, or you just wanted to sort of say, we're going to take this whole the studio and us out of the equation. So we're like, fine, that makes sense. That means we need a location, but we can do that. Because I know about this, and I talked to Lammy, and he said, you know what, we can come up here. There's like a room for us to set up, and I control the space too, and we could make something work. But all the necessary gear was here, so we decided to maybe go ahead with that. And then I found out that Herb wasn't feeling well, and then so we sidelined Herb, and I'm like, well, now we need a streaming platform. And honestly, we sent Justin all over New Hampshire to grab cameras. And, at the last minute, we all just sort of decided as conditions changed that, 10-person gatherings had been discouraged. Like that, none of that had happened the Wednesday before. And it was just like every day that went on, it was like that number of what was acceptable just closed. The window closed all the way that not even the band getting together here for a performance made any sense. And not even like the smaller version of us. So we sacked that. But John and I had been developing, the ability to send a quality live stream out to backstop anything that Justin had put together in the event that what he had came up with, had any issues with what John was working with here, so that we would be able to do it anyway. And it was just like, okay, I guess we're not doing anything, but we had been working, and it was like, well, let's do the show, because I had a thought about maybe doing my show with Herb, but once Herb was out of the picture, I had put that away altogether. My only objective was to get the Wednesday to keep it going, and we worked so hard to keep it going. But that's what we ended up doing. And Lammy and me have done 14 nights in a row of radio. This is, I think, day 16 of this whole since we started. It's just nuts, Milt.
And Herb is okay?
Herb is fine. Thank you for asking. Herb is doing great. It wasn't nothing.
Glad to hear it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's just so wild that I'll never forget. And the reason why you said, the interactions that we captured that day, just felt right. Because, whether we knew it or not, that was, that was the day. There was
yeah.
Nothing will be the same when we get back to it. I mean, God willing, Thunder Road is right there where we left it, ready to turn its lights on and bring us back in on a Wednesday, and we can bring our people back when it's safe to do so. And God willing that's going to be the way it is. And I know that our energy is always going to be stronger. We knew that like this was a major act of camaraderie. We were pulling together to be strong in the face of this oncoming tsunami, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and looking out for our people in the audience, the whole thing.
And that hasn't stopped. That's what the whole idea here was that it's going to be a weird experience for us to be cut off from each other. So I wanted to provide a place where we could all just hang out, and it works that way for I see lots of BDF in the crowd there. Actually, John, if you could you refresh my comments, because I don't think I'm seeing anything current. But I'm glad to see people joining us consistently, and then it gives me opportunities to take a long time to get caught up with you. And since we talked about all that, Milty, I'd love to hear just a little bit more about you for the people to know. Like, you are such a mystery to fans. It's like you have such a presence. It's like there's a voodoo and a magic that you concoct on stage. And I swear, like, it's like being a witch doctor and there's like a cauldron next to me. Like, I had this thought, like, like you're a snake charmer and I'm the snake. Like, I get to react to you doing what you do every day. And it's just like, it is kind of like, what is going on over in that space? Like, it's just wildness. You are such a talent and such a pleasure to make music with. But like, tell me a little bit about like, where did you have where were you on the come up? You know what I mean? And like, how did you end up falling in like with like a real combo playing music? Like, how did that happen?
Well, I don't know. My way in, I think like a lot of people, maybe my age and younger too, including Amy Winehouse, I found out recently, is being, a kid. Well, I'll tell you the story. I was in summer camp in Maine, and I went to this camp where a lot of little kids from New York City went off to. I grew up in Manhattan,
okay.
And they sent us off to this place in Maine. And anyway, I was walking through the woods one day by myself, and I heard this music. I was about 9, and and I was drawn to this sound. I had been taking piano lessons for a couple of years, so I knew my way around the keyboard a little bit. And I found that the music was emanating from the bunk where the cooks for the camp stayed. And these guys were all like itinerant workers who, like, in the summertime they were up in Maine and they went different places during the year. And the head guy was a guy named Booker. And anyway, I knocked on the door, and Booker came out. And he was wearing a do-rag, and he had his undershirt on. And I said, Booker, please, what is that? What is that sound that's coming out? Who is that? And he sort of looked at me, kind of went back inside, and he came back out, and he had an LP. I'll never forget it. I have the record. I still do. It's the record is black with bright pink, like dance feet. When you have the dance steps, they show in the feet. And it's called, big letters, "Do the Twist" with Ray Charles. And
nice.
He just said, "Ray, that's Ray Charles, man." And it was like being hit by lightning, because it's just like from that moment on, at age 9 or whatever it was, I just had to get my hands on anything that Ray Charles had put out. And that was a good time to do it. And I wound up seeing him at Carnegie Hall with Fathead Newman, and the Raylettes, and like the serious, like the What I Say band of like 1962.
Wow. That's cool, because Ray had his moment too, where he heard the music and was just like, yo, what was that?
Yeah, so I would pick out his tunes on the piano by ear. And so my piano teacher fired me, because like she said, okay, Beethoven is done, you're going to be doing this kind of thing. But it was always
Bye-bye.
like, it was very hard to personally identify with Ray Charles, because he was such a genius. Also because he was African American, he was blind. I mean, he was like a completely different kind of being than me. So then when seeing the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, I think I got the idea of like, oh, maybe I could do that. So that was kind of the next. So that's rock and roll bands ever since then, and I'm basically a band guy. I love, the idea of a rhythm guitar playing with a drummer. I mean, that's my thing.
Yeah, noticeably. So, like, you're up and coming. You've been inspired. You can play the damn thing. Who put you on? What was like the first gig that put you out into it? That that people were paying attention to.
Yeah, well, I came to Boston to. So I was in college in Baltimore at Johns Hopkins, and which is where I met up with James Owens, who has gone through the Barely Dead band famously.
Yeah, and we can't really wish Barely Dead a happy fifth without getting into like the connection that Barely Dead was basically founded so that people could more people could get to experience you and James. It gave you another platform to sort of be heard by maybe some today's concert going types, like as opposed to like some of the like the Boston local scene that you guys had sort of created for yourself.
Yeah, and he and I, who we still live in the same house, and we were talking about, having meeting from me from New York, him from Boston, and us having this pretty much the same songbook in mind, and just hitting it off instantly, the way you do when I think he recalled that we both loved Moby Grape, which anybody who might have missed that album should definitely go check it out, because it certainly is something that was a high watermark and probably should have had much wider recognition than it did. Anyway, so we started doing bands at that point, and I came up to Boston to visit James, and I saw Cambridge and all the little clubs, like places like Jack's with Bonnie Raitt playing, and Taj Mahal, and Boston was really happening. And I was a little burned out from my hometown, from Manhattan, because it seemed like in order to get anything going, you had to have some pretty big money behind you, and it was, and it was really hard to find a place to rehearse. We would hide our amps and drums behind parked cars, so that when the taxi stopped, you'd come out with all your gear, before the guy could get away, and then try to convince him that you were some famous band like the Young Rascals, so you'd give him autographs, for his kids.
Wow.
Anyway,
that's a good move. Wow, you and James. It's not just that even happened. That was like that was a thing. It's just that was you guys. That's great.
Yeah, so it was just it just seemed like Boston, Cambridge was the promised land, and so when it came time for me to get a medical job, I was going to medical school at the time finally, and I just pretty much only applied for work in the Boston area, and we just kind of kept our band, which we had in Baltimore. We kept that going in a different different format, and started playing the clubs around here, and then there was kind of the new wave thing happened, and so I had a band doing that sort of thing, synth pop kind of.
I want to hear that, Milty. Where are Milty plays synth pop recordings?
Got tons of it.
Really?
It's not bad.
We're starting a whole video web series on Milt Reader, folks. We're gonna do the '80s. We're gonna have a special retrospective on Milt in the '80s playing synth pop, because I actually I love synth pop. I love synthesizers. I love the era. So I'm into it. I want to hear it because I know you can play.
Yeah, we were fans of, I think Thomas Dolby is one of the great melodists.
Absolutely.
And, his instrumentation and stuff, brings you right to that period. But I think it goes way deeper than.
Right. I think even George Clinton was involved with Thomas Dolby, if I'm not mistaken. Like the funk factor between, the new wave artists and what was happening across the, in all of the different genres. In fact, everyone was trying to stay to mess with the new toys. Everyone sort of took the new technology and sort of understood that if we don't do something with this, maybe people will just move on from what we're doing. So that was actually a thing. It's surprising that so many bands actually put out V drum albums. It's just they decided to do it, but it was probably a wise thing.
We had those drums. They were the Simmons drums, which felt like you were playing drums on Formica in your kitchen.
Right.
Did not feel good.
Right, but then there were some guys that said, for example, Bill Bruford, one of the best drummers I ever heard, at the time, just said, "Hey man, I guess we're going there." So he gave himself an entire Simmons kit and played with just that pretty much. Maybe I think he had a real snare hiding in there, but I think honestly it was just he was everywhere with his Simmons kit and used it to be I can't even imagine. Only someone like Bruford could really do the sensitivity of a surface like that. I would imagine it was pretty crude, like you said. These are very early versions of what they got now.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think maybe for that era, the projects, the bands that I was in, might have had a little swing. Was an anathema at that time, and I sort of can't help it. So most of the stuff that I would do would have a little bit of swing in it, maybe too much for the new wave thing. And so a side project came along, maybe a month or two to go and do some gigs with a rhythm and blues singer named Barrence Whitfield, and that turned into 15 years, on the road all over the world, and so that was and we still are great friends and play together whenever we can. So that's been a great thing.
Yeah, I think I noticed you guys had a show at Thunder Road maybe less than a year ago or somewhere around that.
That was a really, really good show, if I do say so myself, but there was nobody there. I mean, it was basically the people that lived in my house were the audience. We're not the greatest promoters, so
it's not. You're right, exactly. And I'm sort of especially now with this, it's the onus is on me if I want to get this show across to people. So I'm God, it's there's such a thing as oversharing. I have a tough time even sharing. I'm okay, I shared it. It's we're shared. No. People are telling you got to share it here. You got to share it there. You got to put it around. I'm I got to share. I got to hit all those buttons. I got to do all those things. Isn't that too much? Is that excessive? And they're no, dude. If you're not doing it, then you're not being. You're not even up to zero. You're not dude. I don't even.
I know. Yeah, it's I can make myself do that for about an hour, and then then a month goes by.
Right. Didn't I promoted it? Right. Yeah. I've never been so good at that, and it's even when I did the radio show before, we had. Then that's why I sort of had this platform sort of in mind to be able to do a live stream from. I had known the nuts and bolts of it, and that Herb knew how to use it. Because when I had my old radio gig, we started integrating a live stream over Facebook as a companion to the radio frequency, but the problem that I always had with it was that we're paying for the rights over the radio, but we can't broadcast the music over Facebook, and then they're going to mute it. So it's I'm not going to jump into people's news feed and usurp their news feed every day with my show, make them listen and then not play the music. No thanks. You know what I mean? So. So it didn't make sense. So other people were using it, and I never wanted to. But part of it is because I didn't want to be obtrusive like that. It's radio, and radio is radio. It's the video component. Sure, I mean, I still understood that people were starting to be into watching something like that. But things have changed, now that we're in a situation where there's no other way for us to even get out there. And not only that, it's we don't even have work right now.
No, we don't.
That's the thing.
That became clear very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's time to be creative, and I think it wouldn't have occurred to me right away, but having done this for a little bit, now I realize that like the other day I was able to like log in and set up my own sort of schedule for gigs and market it directly to the people. I did a set of Sinatra tunes on Sunday, and because I'm used to doing a Sinatra Sunday gig, and it's like, well, here's my Sinatra Sunday gig. And I think maybe that's not a bad idea, is like reestablish like these gigs, like Barely Dead tonight. We've been doing a sort of successive performance schedule on a Wednesday. I want to see you get in on some of that action.
I intend to. It's the live streaming thing is new. It's brand new for me, and I got really inspired yesterday, the day before. Richard Thompson did something in the afternoon that was absolutely brilliant from his living room. I'm a long time fan, and it was just so simple. It was just him sitting on his couch playing his guitar and singing, and it was just absolutely brilliant. And his wife came in and harmonized with him, which was a great dimension on the whole thing. And you'll see me.
Yeah, speaking of harmony, I hear you and Missy are harmonizing over there. Perhaps we'll get to hear some of that.
We've been working on some stuff. I did for years and years the Friday night at O'Leary's in Brookline on Beacon Street, and so Missy and I started picking up a few covers, and she would get up and do that with us at O'Leary's. But lately we've been working on some original material, and she's got a wonderful voice, and
very cool.
She's got a nice blend going, and she comes up with some very psychedelic harmony parts, and has got really nails it. So I'm super excited about that. It's inspiring me to write new stuff. So I think creative wise, if we get a chance to do it, a lot of things may come out of.
Well, if you need any assistance setting up, like the live stream and a portal to do it, Lammy and I are, pretty far down that road now. We figured out a few things. We're happy to share the knowledge.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
and that's another thing for people to know. If you are trying to do this thing, people reach out to me and I answer the questions. I'm not trying to be proprietary about any of this. The goal is for us to maintain entertained. We have to maintain our good spirit in all this. Because I don't know. Every now and again, I'm focused on staying upbeat and doing all that. But I don't think you're really responding appropriately to any of this unless you actually allow yourself to be affected by what you're seeing in the news, and that this is as much as we think that the world has changed already, the next 2 weeks in this country are really going to test that theory, and we're going to really find out just how this is where we get pushed into the perseverance mode, because we need to really band together, I think, in the weeks coming up.
Yeah, I think it's actually, as horrifying as the possibilities are, it's also an amazing opportunity for growth and for waking up to a lot of things, for people, we're just taking it one day at a time. I try not to. Everybody has future, sort of thoughts of future possibilities that you can drive yourself crazy with, and so the antidote for that is to do something in the present that that you love to do with people you love to do it with, and there's a balance there. You don't stick your head in the sand, but
right.
we still got to live, but do smart.
And right, and too much darkness is not healthy, and it's now is the time to really focus on your strength, and it comes from within, and is buffeted by the support that the way that we all are banding together, on behalf of the whole BDF and the band. And just everyone out there, it's just we are enacting the deepest quarantine law for you and James and Missy over there. Guys, stay safe over there. Go deep into the bunker. Take everyone on a family road trip to somewhere. Dreerdaffen Deck is the way my people would say it. You know what I mean? That's where I want you. If you have to choose, if you feel like like you can't do it here, like I just want you safe. But I think if you properly seal off the area there and like just do yourself proper and like we'll see you on the other side, because this is ridiculous. Yeah,
that's what we're trying to do.
It's going to be a real special day when all of us are together again, Milty. That's for sure.
Yes, it is.
Well, listen, I'm going to jump to a break. I have, I think right now I'm going to play those tunes that you sent me. So maybe you want to like do a little setup of these tunes and tell me what we're listening to here. Which one you want to hear first and what's going on? Sure.
Well, we got, let's see. We got The Girl from Outer Space. That's a tune that I wrote. It's a fairly recent recording that actually features Nicole Nelson, the great singer, doing some special effects on there. And it's a little science fiction rock and roll. Originally wrote for Barents Whitfield. I wrote the song the day that I met Barents many years ago. And he recorded it and sang it in a screaming falsetto. I've got it in a lower register, and to tell the story in there. So that's The Girl from Outer Space.
Very cool. And let's see. How about and then what do you want to play after? Oh, and by the way, heady Barely Dead fans will know that yes, you've heard us play that before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that Barely Dead has played that. And then we got Keep Your Shirt On, which is a staple of our Friday night show generally, with which I do a lot with Dave Becker and Seth Pappas. And that is a song that was written kind of by automatic writing. The lyrics were simply sort of sounds like I had no idea what the song was about as it was going down, and it was just it was a very strange. I've never done this before or since. But some kind of narrative was coming out of it, and it seemed to make sense. I just liked the way the lines sounded. And it was only later that I, started to realize that it might be about certain things. And anyway, but it's all in the eye of the beholder. And the third one is a work in progress. It's a demo called "Why Are You Afraid to Say You Love Me?" And it's a homage to the Fabs, to the Beatles, sort of circa 1964 or so.
Cool.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. You got it. We're going to start out with the Girl from Outer Space. Here's a real, dive into the Milt Reader rabbit hole, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm really excited to go there with you. Milty, if you want, mute your mic. And, you can even turn your camera off and take a break. You know what I'm saying? We're going to mute you. Actually, leave the camera on because we'll just take the window out. That's how whatever you want to do. I just don't want to, jinx it that, we have a problem coming back up, because we always seem to some weird things do tend to happen. So we're going to just, we'll be back on the other side. And I'll pick up and we'll talk a little bit with D-Vibes. He's still there. Vibes, you enjoying this conversation?
I'm still here, man. I love it, man.
Dude, thanks for sticking around, too.
Yes.
Actually, real quick, D-Vibes got to sit in with us, and that was a cool time to get you guys together. I really like pairing you up with all my cats because, like I said, you have a real special voice, and, I always thought, Jeff Lockhart, too, I thought, the two of you would have some real cool sorcery between you, and I managed to see that happen. I want more of that. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The Girl from Outer Space, and we'll be right back.
She's a girl from outer space, and she's staying at my place. She don't hang around in bars. She comes straight from the planet Mars. trying to save this old human race. She's a girl from outer space. And she's got an unusual face. She's wild about me, she loves to show it. It's just different from the way we know it. She caused a panic at the Air Force Base. The way those boys acted was a national disgrace. They'd never seen a girl from outer space. From outer space. I could die in her embrace. Back at my pad, we'll be counting down. Blasting off at the speed of sound. She's a girl from outer space. You're letting it all hang out. You make them all jump and shout. Is that what it's all about? Well, I don't know. Well, you never stop running around. You're shaking that thing all over this town. This whole deal is gonna bring you down. Keep your shirt on. Keep your shirt on, babe. Keep your shirt on. Keep your pants on too. Ooh. You better find some one place to go. And when you get there, how will you know? One thing's for certain, everybody loves a show. Keep your shirt on. Keep your shirt on, baby. And keep your shirt on. Keep your pants on too. You thought you'd get lost and you feel alright. Your friends all tell you that you're out of sight. You're losing your shoes in the middle of the night. You know it just ain't right. You know it just ain't right. It just ain't right. Yeah, it's just another day at the beach. Keep your doggy on his leash. They got rules in places like this. Capiche? Keep your shirt on. Keep your shirt on, girl. Keep your shirt on. Keep your shirt on, baby. Keep your shirt on. Keep your shirt on, yeah. Keep your shirt on. Keep your shirt on. Keep your shirt on. Keep your shirt on, girl. Keep your shirt on. Keep your shirt on, girl.
Right? Yeah, Milty. Yeah.
Hey, bro.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Michael Butler Butz Show. Here celebrating Barely Dead's 5th birthday with the Dr. Milt Reeder, who's been there the whole time, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, it was like you were the inspiration, ultimately. You were a voice that, like, harkens back to that era that, like, still, like, plays with, perfect authenticity. It's just, like, the marriage of your sound to these songs is incredible, if you ask me. You know, as even someone who, came into this from playing other music, ultimately. I mean, I grew up with the culture. I was very into that culture. I seen the Grateful Dead a few times. I was into the music, but it wasn't my bag per se. But the music is my bag, and these are great songs. And I know that you came up with these tunes too, but you were also working other sides of the street as well. I feel like I relate to you in that regard.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah. To me, it's really been fun to find the gems, in the Grateful Dead songbook. A lot of which, I was familiar with from back in the day, and the first band that James and I had together. We did a lot of original material, but we also did Grateful Dead covers. We covered the band a lot.
Right.
And a little bit of Allman Brothers, and so it's going back to these songs and finding some new favorites that I hadn't really noticed the first time around. And I wasn't one of those, I wasn't somebody that followed the Dead, from town to town. I might have seen them, maybe a handful of times
Sure.
in the 70s. Early 70s, and then I went off into other things. So it was nice to come back to that, because it was really a very formative period for me as a player. And so it just is when Tyler and Benny Tucker got in touch with James and I, it really seemed like a natural. It just then this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And I like the approach of the band, which is not to ape the Dead's approach, but to take the song for what it is, and whatever seems to be the appropriate amount of energy, and do a little something different with it. That's been really interesting and I think that's really in the spirit of the Grateful Dead. I think that's what I think to me, I would think Jerry Garcia would like to see, if he could, that the thing that he started, those roots turning into continuing to grow rather than necessarily just trying to recreate a moment in time, which has its place as well, but that's not what we do.
Right. I completely agree.
To it, so
I honestly think that, like, the thing that connects one thing that really connects bands like the Grateful Dead and the band, even to us and what we do, is that these are all singing bands. It's like everyone in the band is willing to sing. Most people in the band, in all cases, are willing to sing on mic and add something to it, and even take leads from time to time. And we certainly have that. The band has that. The Dead has that. I think the bands that we can emulate the best, like, really, like, feel like was something we should be doing, is because it has that sort of layer to it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Just the way we get to do it. It's really cool, and it's really noticeable when we play a song by the band in particular. Something like a glow comes over Milt's face. You can see. Like, I think I had the live stream. I want to remind people that if you never got to check out the live stream from Rear Window Studios, that we did on March 11th. You can find it on the Barely Dead Facebook page. It's all up there. It's in 3 parts. The first part cuts out like right towards the very end of the Karina as Corona jam. That's sort of, like there was more to that jam, people, by the way. That went on for like at least another 2.5 minutes, and we started improvising like some sort of down with the sickness groove, which like it ends on the 1 when I do the when I make the noise, and it's pretty weird that happens. Like maybe it's good that didn't go out over, but anyway, but it came back up like in the second verse of James. So like we didn't even know that it was down, but Herb like noticed, oh God, it's not actually broadcasting now, and I think it was only like maybe like 4 minutes that got dropped. But so it exists in 3 parts, not just set 1 and set 2. So one set will be our first set, and it actually on the Barely Dead page, it works its way backwards. So like the most recent one of the 3 is the second set, then part 2 of the first set, and then the third one in a row is actually the beginning. And I would recommend watching it from the beginning because you can see all that, and you'll see. It was just you'll see the camera on Milt, and the whole presentation. But actually we were listening. What I was going to say was we were listening to it the other night, and W.S. Walcott Medicine Show as we were playing like as many songs that really like spoke to illness, and it was and it's funny how that doesn't even age well, like that whole like the lightheartedness we were trying to bring just to like not scare people why we had canceled our show and all, but like it's like we weren't even scared enough at the time. Those songs, it's kind of silly, but anyway, it was a good set. It was really spirited. It was a really good time, and we were listening to the W.S. Walcott Medicine Show, and I was playing along to it. I think Lammy was jamming it out too. It's like we hang out after this, and I got instruments here, and we have fun. And it's like I'm not having the worst quarantine. It just sucks that I have to be quarantined and that there's a real problem out there, but. I recommend that, if people work hard enough at it, you might be able to find a way to stay inspired, even if you have to stay inside.
Yeah.
So, Milty, I want to encourage that from you. I mean, I want to hear these projects. We're going to be talking. I have ideas, I think we've done what we've done. We've done, like, successive live streams, and we can do that. But I'm trying to figure out a way that we can, make a collab studio recording. I'm with an engineer right over here. He's got all the ability to tie all of our individual tracks together. So I have lots of ideas of what to do with something like that. So
I'd love that. I've been saying to anybody who will listen,
I'm listening.
If there's if there's a way to do it, sure.
Yeah, I think we're finally like settling into the reality that we're in it for the long haul. So let's get creative. Let's do it. Yeah. I'm going to be in touch with you, Milty. I just want to thank you so much for spending this time with me and the fans, the listeners, our people, especially to you and to all of us and to all of them. Happy birthday, Barely Dead. Happy 5th birthday. And here's to so many more.
Thanks so much for having this show, Butzy. This is great. An honor to be with you.
The honor is mine, sir.
When that mysterious video comes out, you got to hear what this man does on the vocal end of the song, which will not be named.
The song will not be named. Thank you. I was like, we don't have like a censor button yet. Like Lammy is actually working on the 7-second delay, and I think this show needs one. I think at times we've proven, in case, and that's another thing I can't really talk about. But it's fine. But anyway, let's just go right back to goodbyes. Milt, I love you. I'll be in touch soon. My best wishes to you and Missy. Thanks for hanging out.
Yes, thank you so much.
You got it. Milt Reader, ladies and gentlemen. Well, wow, D-Vibes. You see why I, have such, great admiration for Milt?
Yeah, he's the man. He's the man. And a great guitar player. I love his sound, and his tone is great.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, when you get to a certain point, it's just like, it's so much more than the notes that you're playing. It's just it's how you shape them. You arrive at a tone. It's like you've evolved your sound, and it just like it becomes like, when crafted and molded like a fine weapon. It's just like it can slice like through any demon. You know what I mean? Like it's one of these swords that's like made by a master craftsman that only like a master can wield. It's just sort of a sound that you like I say, it's like sorcery. It's just sort of like anyone who's really like been to a Barely Dead show that Milt is on. It's just like when he just like we say when he goes in, he takes you there. He will take you there.
That's what I'm talking about, bro.
Yeah, man. So D Vibes, how you feeling today?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. I just released some new music. I released it earlier today, and it is now on Apple Music.
Oh, word. Is that where that tune came from? That was fire, that one.
Yeah.
Gravy. Gravy. Yeah, and that was the gravy.
Yeah.
Hey,
bro,
give me a
it's-
picture of D Vibes in my win. Okay, see, I don't even have to ask, really.
It's like.
I think that actually, I got to interject. The day off, I think, was good for us. Just like because we're like tight today, Like we did two things. We came in, we did that Bowie set. I don't know if you got to catch that, D Vibes. I played some tunes at the electric piano. Did you see that?
Yeah, I seen the David Butz set.
The David
And then
Butz set.
that was showing up right when I was doing my little Wednesday night funk.
See, I screwed you up. See, for those of you who don't know, apparently, like I placed a call to D Vibes, like in the middle of his like Wednesday funk, and he was doing it from his phone, and I totally like gaffled his live stream.
So I was like, "Dang it, Butz!" Yeah.
Oh shit, dude! I don't know, bro. Like, I don't know.
It's all good. Bro.
Why don't you do like the late night funk?
I mean, because it's like, like late night here. Midnight here is like 2 a.m. there.
Right, but like, everyone here is up. Like, I don't know if you realized it, but like, if you're inside all the time, you don't even know what's day and night anymore. It's kind of like, for example, I mean, I don't know, I'm crazy, so I'm not the best, example of what, people do. But one night I got out of here and, I cooled down for maybe like an hour, did some post-production, Yahoo, whatever. And then I went downstairs to relax. And then, I was like checking things out and I noticed that I think Lee might even still be live streaming. I think he's doing it tonight. The legendary Lee Ross, the one-man band, OMB. Yeah.
I like it.
You know what's crazy is that that's all we do now is, this is not the time for the combo. Combos, except like really small ones of like people who've like are so like, we get the combos of people who will be around each other because they basically become each other's like spouse. Some bands are on the road and it's like a 2 or 3 band. It's a small band. I think I saw that there was like Medeski and somebody and John Schofield who played the gig with a mask on. They did like a thing. It was like the Quarantine Band or something. They called it something. Maybe you could figure out what that is. We can make reference to it because I still haven't even checked it out. And that's got to be cool. Like Medeski and Sco doing like a live stream with like a quarantine combo. Like there was like, I think, something like that. They called it something. Yeah, I don't know. We'll find that out.
Let's see. I like that.
Well, I don't know what it's going to be. Like,
shout out to Medeski.
There are a couple of musicians that are in and out of this building, and between the people that have already sort of, exposed themselves to this building, you know what I mean? It's like we're all dirty if this place is dirty. So like, we can have like, I'm not putting anyone on blast until they come on camera, but there's a couple people that that I know that there's a combo worth of people over here. So we could actually put together a quarantine band. We should probably start a band. Right? It's like maybe I'll even write a couple tunes. We'll write a couple tunes and then we'll cover a bunch of tunes. All right? I'm into it. Oh, yeah.
I see. They did it like what, last week?
Who? Oh, yeah. Oh, you see it because
Martin and Murphy.
Yeah, that's what it is. Where'd you find it?
Woodstock session.
Because right, Woodstock session. Because yeah.
Hey man, you
There it
throw
is.
out something like Medeski's doing something. I'm like, I'm on it.
Yeah, they did it. It's fresh set, fresh combo. They put something together. I mean, I'm glad Schofield came out there with a mask on.
Woodstock sessions.
We need to keep guys like that safe. Yeah, I mean that's definitely like a picture that we should share with the audience. He's so good at this. The funny thing is like we're working with like such a primitive technology. It's like one of these days, all of our gear is going to evolve to the point where we're using like real television software. We're going to get this together. I mean, we need more of these these off days.
We're going for Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, I'm coming at him personally because like I saw his show from his front step with the laugh track. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, ha 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 ha. It's like, all right, you can do it. But he was kind of bombing out there, even with his own laugh track. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I'll put the Butz show on you personally because me and D Vibes carry guitars into the ring. You want to get into the ring with us? You know what I mean? It's over for you, pal.
It's like like. I'm coming in with you. Like I'm gonna need a steel chair and keep.
And here's the thing. I'm Jimmy Fallon's worst friggin' nightmare because he made his bones by like doing impressions of singers, and he thinks that he can come at me with impressions of singers like Michael McDonald. He put together the Michael McDonald choir. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like. And his Michael McDonald is only 50-50. I've got like 5 other friends who've got better Michael McDonald impressions than he does. Listen, I'm not going to challenge everybody, D-Vibes, right? We only pick the guy that we want in the ring, like it's like the Fight Club question. Like I think you wanted Guitar Bear once.
I did, man. I go through a phase. I don't know, like people may know this about me, they may not. Like I love everybody.
Of course, sure. We're all human beings. We're all connected. You hurt. It's like I hurt when I hurt somebody else.
But
sure.
I'm very, very, very competitive.
Same. You gotta be. I mean, because especially if you're a funk musician, because that's kind of what the funk is. It's like put my don't come at my funk with some other funk. What are you saying?
Yeah, man. It's like I can sometimes I can go into like an athletic zone of like music, and I'm just like, dude, my mission is to destroy all around me.
Right, and anyone in your path.
It's because it's either crush or get crushed.
That's pretty much what it is.
I refuse to get crushed. Yeah.
Right. It's a very real thing, getting out there. What was I even talking about, Vibes? What were we talking about? Can we run the tape back? Do I have that power? Sorta, right? See, I never would have had a producer that could even do that for me. No. What I'm saying is your own audio recording, you might be able to cut and grab a few minutes. You could probably grab the last 3 minutes and run it as a live audio track that we could listen to. Because then, until I get my train of thought back or the comment, give it a shot. You know what I mean? If it doesn't come back, because who was I being competitive? Oh, wait, no, forget it. Don't do that. No, I'm getting it back because who was I being? We were all being competitive for a second there. You were putting me in the ring. Man. Who was I getting in the ring with?
Competing against Jimmy Fallon.
Oh yeah, that's right. Me and Jimmy Fallon.
I mean, you against right. Jimmy Fallon and or you got. I mean, I think.
No, we're good.
I think you have to go for Colbert because I have to go against John Baptiste.
See, there we go. Yeah. Well, then we have to cross shows. It's like because I'm not. Yeah, you have no beef with Questlove. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I see Quest. I'm like, okay.
It wasn't Questlove who canceled that show you were supposed to open for. It was like you shouldn't have even been down there. Instead, you shouldn't have even been down there.
I shouldn't have been down there. But I'm safe.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks later, like if flying and traveling at a time when we shouldn't have been traveling, you shouldn't have. It was already time not to travel when they sent you down there, which was like the shocking thing in the first place. But
yeah, but I'm safe. I don't have the Rona. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, or it could be a triple threat match. You know.
Right. Oh yeah. We can do like a cross. Okay, just making sure. We could do a cross promotional, sort of thing there because the beef isn't with Quest. The beef is with John Baptiste. I'm so willing to come at like a tag. Can we match those two up as a tag team and then like just do that? Because honestly, like I'm ready to go. I got you with John Baptiste because because of the melodica thing. I was playing that on the gig before he went mainstream with it. And then all of a sudden, he's mainstream with the melodica. And then when I play the melodica, everyone's like, oh yeah, like John Baptiste. And I'm like, no,
dude,
like me and D Vibes.
I used to hear that so many times when I was walking around with melodica. I'm just like, I would always be like, did you know that Stevie Wonder like took some awesome solos on some records on melodica?
Yeah, I mean, if life was,
I mean, look, there's a lot of great melodica players. I mean, John Baptiste is
Donald Fagen. Sure, he is great. Yeah, the beef with Baptiste isn't anything like based on his musicality or anything like that.
No, it's not based on his musicality.
It's just that's how this works. That's how this competitive thing works. That he's in your crosshairs. I got Fallon in my crosshairs. You aim for the guys who are doing it big. You know what I mean? And it's like, if we're going to come out of nowhere as Keytar Nation, the most dangerous tag team in the landscape, in like entertainment, there he is, folks. Yeah. Picture of John Baptiste with a melodica. Yeah, that's right. There he is, folks.
But you see me with my melodica, I got more swag.
It's true. Like I remember seeing what was it? It was like you and Mo Brown at in New Orleans, in the days between Jazz Fest, leading outdoor parties. It was just you on the melodica.
Yeah, bro. Yo, we went in, dude. It was like I went to Jazz Festival with my melodica, and it was like whoa.
Yeah, this was and the funny thing is right. You want to talk about John Baptiste? He wasn't your inspiration. Who was your inspiration to get a melodica?
Bernie Worrell.
Oh, okay, fine. I thought it would be me because I was playing one every day at the time, and then all of a sudden you decided to get one. It was me. And Bernie. And Bernie. Okay, maybe it was Bernie first, and then you're like, oh, well, okay, maybe I should get one. Butz seems to have fun. But I'm just in the pool of inspiration, okay? I can be in the pool of inspiration.
Yeah.
Happy to be part of the inspiration. But it wasn't John Baptiste. I was at least more of an inspiration for you playing melodica than John Baptiste was. That's a fact. All right. So anyway, yeah. That would be a good main event. It's WrestleMania season. Sometimes they get these kind of talents on the broadcast. It's like maybe it takes a couple renegade guys. It's like maybe we need to film a video challenge, me and you somehow simulcast. Show them in a text. Me and D Vibes can cut a promo on you. Like Jimmy Fallon. See you out there. You want to talk about hard times to the American people.
Hard times.
Me and D Vibes will put you on hard times. You brought hard times on me and D Vibes. We put hard times on you.
I think I have to put hard times on them on the road.
Oh, he puts hard times on them.
Hard times through the roads.
We'll put them. No, we're not sacrificing our roads, even though it would be real satisfying. It would be real satisfying.
Like one of those tables. I mean, it's gonna be like a roads that's not a roads, but it's a roads.
Yeah.
So to just see the 3D through the roads would be kind of epic. I mean, I would cry. I mean, but that would be kind of epic though.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, I will challenge Jimmy Fallon to one of his classic one of these karaoke vocal impression sort of things. You know what I mean? I don't want to play that silly game where you have to do the one thing as another thing and all that is the other thing. I'm just gonna say, hey, pick your guy, okay? Pick your guy. You can pick all the impressions. All right? That's how I want to get you in the ring. You can pick your own favorite impressions, okay?
Yeah.
And I will battle you on your own terms, Jimmy Fallon.
So Butz, check this out.
Okay.
I've been seeing a lot of these producers doing like a beat battle on Instagram Live. You know,
Yeah.
It was like Scott Storch versus like Manny Fresh, and like like they're going back and forth
All
playing
right.
their old hits. But I was like, like if we
Oh,
were
they're going
to go,
hit by hit? That's how they're doing it? It's like,
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
but-
well, you ever heard of this one? Did you hear this one?
But my thing is like, okay, we know those songs. I want to go beat for beat with any of those producers out there. Any producer out there. We can go beat for beat, track for track. Bro. Let's go. You know? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I mean, we've already heard the hits. I mean, those songs were already cool, you know, but what else you got new in the tank? You know, I'm trying to see, you know, like who would want to take on like an up and coming like champion like D-Vibes on a beat battle, you know?
Oh, you throwing an open challenge out to the listening audience. Because, listen, it makes sense. Throw an open challenge to a producer who wants to go track for track with D-Vibes. We can have the audience sort it out. Like I said, it's WrestleMania season, okay? Like, they're going to need help with the hype because, like, their own event in an empty room without their headliner, who's going to have to cancel because he's recovering from leukemia and doesn't want to expose himself to anything. He's in deep quarantine. They haven't announced that, or they have. Maybe that's coming. It's all common knowledge. They're going to move some things around. So, like, let's help the WrestleMania season out and, like, get some excitement. And we'll have our own, Butzamania. And Vibes has an open challenge going to a producer. Someone's asking for my email address. It's butzrage@gmail.
Are they trying to go beat for beat?
I don't know who it was. I didn't see it. I'm not interested right now. I'm just the challenge is out there. Okay, I will figure it out. You can send your challenges, but just be careful. Be careful.
You know,
Oh, that's you sending me. That's Vibes. It's an old one. butzrage@gmail. That's where you can answer the challenge there, or drop a comment in the comment thread, and
Yeah.
But just be careful, because we take this shit seriously, and D-Vibes doesn't even know where that fourth wall is between reality and wrestling. You know what I mean? He will put you through a table.
Yeah.
Musically speaking.
I mean, like for reals, man. I mean, think about it, man. Even some of our homies that we make beats with,
Right.
You know?
Oh yeah, they aren't ready either.
Any of these guys, I've got the vault ready. You know.
That's not
There's
a
only-
yeah.
There's only a couple producers I know. Like I would have to really create some new stuff. It would be I think my hardest battle would be Pete Rock. I mean, it's Pete Rock.
Oof, aim big. See, you're not even
I-
looking at our friends. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even going to mention any names because I don't want to start any heat where there isn't. So
Oh, man.
I don't want you putting targets on anyone's back. But I know there's other people that we know that are out there privately making tracks. They don't.
Yeah, I know.
They don't want the
Dice got-
smoke, is what you're saying.
I know Dice got beats,
Yeah, right.
We can go,
Okay, you heard that, Deitch. I mean, he's going to come on this show eventually.
That's my bro.
Yeah,
I
right.
love the guy
Yeah.
so much.
Shout out.
We can go beat for beat though.
Woo, yeah. Oh, you see, you want to have that brawl. I can facilitate that over my DJ rig. That is easy. Oh, okay. Now I know how we're going to do this. We're going to do this thing with Deitch. I'm going to bring Deitch on, and I'm going to get all his X amount of tunes out of him that he's got in little nuggets in the laptop. We'll do 30 seconds of each.
Yeah.
Like a battle. It's just 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds per track.
I did a couple beat battles when I was in Boston.
How'd that go?
I won.
Of course. Who I don't even want to know. I don't want to know. Maybe it wasn't their idea and they were just being a team sport, but that better be what it was, because who would do that?
I mean, like I was like, I remember it was at the first time it was at Club Church. Man, I've had a lot of good things go down over there, man. I'm sad that spot is gone.
Sure, I think it's there, but they don't do nothing with it. Like, I don't think.
No, they tore it down. It's like some apartments or something.
Oh, really? Like, it's not even like an empty room anymore? Like a restaurant? They didn't like make it a boring like little like pub or something like that without like music? Who knows? A tavern or something?
Tearing it down.
Not the tavern. Shout out to the Coronados. Miss you guys.
Yeah.
I miss everybody, you know, like this is weird for me. Like, you know, I go through these phases where I stay in and I don't socialize. Like, it's not anything unusual for a lot of people who know me. It's like, you know, like I haven't seen you in the social circles like I have, because, you know, like I sort of keep myself healthy, you know what I mean? I try my best, and that's my normal vibe. But now it's like everything I was doing preemptively is becoming, you know, the new normal, as they say.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jen Cardoza for being the cover of the Boston Herald. She's a regular listener and a general music lover. Just loves going to live events. Basically one of us. She was shown on the cover of the Herald in a story about the new normal, which was crazy because I had just used that expression, not like to say like anyone invents the new normal. That's an old cliche, but, you know, I had just used it to describe what we have been doing now. Like, this is becoming the new normal. It was like, when, you know, when you get the guys all together and just hang out here in you know, multi-video conference, this is becoming the thing to do, the way to stay connected. And then the extra element that we're doing here is bringing in the listening audience. So, you know, that's cool because now we get to hang. I mean, they don't have an audio in, but like, you know, I can see that they're out there. But anyway, so going forward, you know, we're just going to keep doing it. I'm happy to just do my radio show, talk to D-Vibes. If I'm here, I have a way of doing it. Maybe, you know, we'll mess with taking calls in the future. I did that once. But I don't think that's my vibe today. I think I'm pretty much ready to call it a night. I think we had a good show. And I'm going to want to see that video of Barely Dead doing new Speedway Boogie. We have a new video coming out soon. Stay tuned for that. But this is the one we put out like, you know, maybe like a month or so ago. And it features Milt singing and, you know, bringing the fire on lead. There was so much fire that, I don't know who runs the Grateful Dead's social media. Like, it could be like, you know, anyone. But whoever is at the helm of their YouTube channel commented on our video, and just with a simple, like, you know, in the parlance of our time, they left a very one-word response, which was like capital sheesh, and then like 4 molten lava emojis. So, you know, if I'm speaking emoji and, you know, I mean, listen, from what I can tell, that means they really liked it.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, this was Milt, and that was like by design, because Milt is a force of nature, and we want to put him out there. That was the whole point. Can you hear that in the background? Do you hear my sound beds vibe?
A little bit. I can't hear too much.
Well, because I have it quiet.
Oh, yes.
See? Okay. Just so you know. That's just so you know. I just wanted you to know. But yeah, I'm just about to get ready here. I'm looking for my goodbye music. But that's where we're at.
Make sure that all the listeners out there know. Go follow, get my new single, Watermelon Funk Gravy.
Nice. And we played that a little earlier. You know, go now. Where can they find it?
It's on Apple Music right now. By the end of the week, it'll be on Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Tidal, all the platforms.
Wonderful.
You know, shout out to D-Vibes Productions.
D-Vibes. Put it on the one.
Shout out to my main man, B Quiz. You know, it's my guy right there.
Absolutely. Love that kid.
He's like the secret weapon man.
He's like another one. He's just another. He's like an extension of you.
Yeah, he is. Seriously, man. It's like some guys look at him when he comes in because he's such a small guy. You know, this guy, and then like he picks up his axe and he's like, whoa. He gets like 10 feet taller. Like,
like I think if you know we could get away if we went to the wrestling world, I could get away with like having both of you and we could take on tag teams.
Yeah, we could. We could definitely do that.
It would be like the lucha house rules. What are those guys? Yeah. Anyway, all right, I'm ready. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have indeed come to the end of the show. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. It was really great to talk to Milt. I had such a pleasure to get caught up with him and just to see his glowing face, his happy face, looking good, looking healthy, looking strong. You know, we're all apart from each other. We're used to all being together every Wednesday, and it's hard, you know, it's hard. I miss, like I said, he's like the snake charmer and I'm the snake. Milt plays and I dance, and it's something that it's timeless to me. What I feel when that's happening, it's just like it's powerful to me. You know, his playing is powerful. The connection I feel with him is special, and I enjoy the time we get to spend on and off the stage, and this was very enjoyable as well. And anyway, I just want to thank you all for tuning in, being a part of that. Happy birthday, Barely Dead. And thank you for bringing a guy like me into what you had already built. It's been a while now, and you know, it just feels like home, and I miss my home. And we're going to try to find several ways to bring us all together. And that means I'm talking to each one of you. I think I just saw Nick Swift react. I'm coming for you, Nick. We're going to do this. We're all coming on the air here, and I think we're going to get some projects going. So looking forward to that. I'm going to play new Speedway Boogie. You got that ready to go, Lammy? We got like 15 solid seconds here. So thank you for tuning in. D-Vibes, thank you as always.
Yeah, my man Butz on the one, baby.
Keep it on the one. Stay tuned for the video, and thanks for tuning in.
Understand, but I think in time we will. so dark and the hour so late. This darkness has got to give. One way or another. One way or another. One way or another. This darkness has got to give. One way or another. One way or another.
Yeah, I'm still live there.